Jimmy Snuka. When was the first time you met him? Because I doubt it was in the WWF.
He was training. Cowboy Frankie Lane was wrestling in Hawaii when I came back. When I first came back, so Cowboy was training. He used to work out, like I said, down at Dean Higuchi's gym in Waikiki, where all the wrestlers and people going through. We used to train. So he was like a Mr. Hawaiian Islands. He was a championship bodybuilder from Hawaii, and then he broke in, about a year or so after I did. So he was in the, in the, what was that, early 70s, 70, 71 he started. So that, that's, and then we'd cross paths eventually. In Minneapolis, AWA, we were actually a tag team, Lonnie K. Aloha. They wanted a Hawaiian name. Vern Gagne wanted and I didn't know, any kind of Hawaiian names that would make any sense, to people, and like trying to give you, give somebody in England a Hawaiian name, just try and have some type of continuity with the Hawaiian language, that did not go real deep or, something confusing. So Lonnie Kale, he didn't like it. Jimmy wanted to go as Jimmy Snook. I said, hey, he wanted a Hawaiian name. I don't know. So that's we're tag team. We're a pretty good tag team too in AWA. I think we're only like the Crusher and the Bruiser were there at the time, and we were like right behind them. Of course, we had Stevens and Bockwinkel and Bobby Heenan, Rene Goulet. We had Henning and who was Larry's partner? I don't remember Larry's.
Harley Race at one point, wasn't
Lars
it?
was gone. Yeah, but Harley before that. And then when I first came in, it was Lars. And I think Lars went to San Francisco for Shires. I forget who Larry took as a partner after that. Everybody be standing around, we were somewhere in the locker room or something, complaining about Vern or leaving. Larry come on, he walked back and he said, damn it, I just gave Vern my 20-year notice. He wasn't going anywhere. He's staying right in Robbinsdale. And he went to a short run in New York with the champ Bruno or whoever the champ was at the time, and then came right back to Minnesota.
Was Jimmy always totally off the wall, crazy, unstable, or was he really calm when you first met him and then sort of developed into that later on?
He was always calm. He was, I know him. He was, you'd have a good time, but he was really calm. Other guys, I guess Piper had a hard time with him. Have you done Piper before? You interviewed Roddy?
No, I'm quite new at this. Unfortunately, I never got the opportunity.
Yeah, well, Piper obviously passed, but I get Roddy had he and Roddy had a rough sailing when they had a big angle, in WWF at the time, that ran and I guess they had a lot of turmoil behind the scene. Why I have no idea. I was I was in Atlanta for about 6 months and then came back, which is unusual. Kind of a change of the territory. Wasn't used to at the time for top heels. They would come in, work with a champion, then work with somebody on the way out, do about a 6-month run, and they wouldn't come back for another couple of years. But this was the turn of WWF into slowly later becoming WWE when Vince Jr. took it over.
So how come you two work just so absolutely well together? Because I mean, I've gone back, I've seen the interviews where you just, super cocky. You can beat him any day of the week. And Jimmy Snuka with the most oddly compelling interview promos where he'd sort of whispering and then he'd forget what he was saying and then he just yells something immediately. But somehow it just completely worked. I mean, Jimmy's interviews for starters.
Yeah. Well, we knew that, and so I think after the close thing and the week after, he did a generic to insert in all the on all the tapes that went out. That'd be part of the regular body TV where he was sitting in the ringside with the chairs in an empty arena with Vince going off, and then at the end he got heated and started throwing chairs around and stuff. But we thought it'd be evil rather than hitting him with 20, 30 interviews a day, having him try and go, which really wasn't that much for a baby face, because baby faces I remember Pedro's. I'm happy to be in the city of Boston, baby. I have many amigos and many good friends. It's a beautiful city, beautiful place. And that was pretty much, Bruno, pretty much the same thing. All the Backlund and all the baby faces could get away with pretty much a generic kind of interview. And Jimmy could have too, but he got, he'd been a heel for quite some time. So I suppose, he enjoyed that aspect too of wandering off script,
How come? And I know, and I will touch on this. I know it's a bit of a dark subject and everything, but I'll mention it in a bit. And you know what I'm going to say is, why did Jimmy never wrestle the belt off you? Even at the famous cage match where he jumped off, hit you, that was already after the match was over, wasn't it? So how come he never ended up being the champion?
It was inconvenient at the time, and you gotta know that when you get a belt, you're going to lose the belt. See, Jake the Snake had a snake. Jimmy had the dive and the Polynesian. All these guys, they had things. They didn't need a belt in order to make them entertaining or interesting. And with the baby face, you don't need it. So it's the chase, the hunt, it's more satisfying, as a baby face, and getting and then defending the belt. Because once they have a belt, all they can do is lose the belt, because time goes on. Whereas a heel, you're basically, if you're a heel and you're a professional jobber, and you guys don't like that word, but that's what you are. That's what I was. I did jobs for Hulk. I did jobs for Backlund. I did jobs for Snuka. I did jobs for everybody. Just every top baby face in the I was getting my hand raised lots of times, but when I was a champion, any match I ever won was I passed out bleeding with luckily to get my hand across her shoulder, or they didn't know they'd gotten beaten. I was beaten down at the end of the match, and my baby face was usually still looking strong. Were they going? And I was as in the cage match, I was a champion, but I just got squashed by Jimmy off the top of the cage. So it's belt is an ominous thing, and people don't realize that it's a thing that helps you draw, and really it serves a better purpose on a heel, because you can make if you're a champion, you make the contenders look better, and then you move it around. You can move me off of that. Like we talked about the late Buddy Coulter just passed a couple months ago in Florida, how he had the Florida champion. He'd work maybe 3 or 4 baby faces with that Florida champion. If they found one hot enough, he dropped the title to that, a third, the third guy, or he'd go on there and go a couple weeks, and then come up with half a dozen, 3 or 4 titles. He'd come up with a Southern title the next week, and then start all over again with a different set of baby faces. Then lose that and come up with a TV title or something else, North American title. So you had a heel like that. That's basically what a heel could do. You could cycle them around and use them to get your baby faces over.
I've heard a couple of different theories of why, after the feud with you, the high-profile feud with you, he was sort of shunted down the card somewhat. And one is the Nancy Argentino situation, but the other one I actually saw on an old interview with Roddy Piper, who said, and he had his dates mixed up slightly, and timelines mixed up slightly, but basically they shunted him down the card a little bit because they just couldn't get him to be less popular than Hulk Hogan. Like, Snuka was just beloved.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, man, that would. I'm sure that would be a reason they brought him as Hulk's tag partner in the first WrestleMania, seemingly for no reason, just because he had a history with Piper, but he was the top guy in the territory till Hulk came, and it was just like Hulk. Dino Bravo was a god in Montreal for years before he came into WWF as a heel, and they didn't want Bravo and Hulk wrestling for the belt in Montreal because they were afraid that Hulk was going to turn it heel. He turned Hulk heel because Bravo spoke French, was from Quebec and was part of them, so they hesitated giving him a shot in Montreal.